so much. And good morning to us all. Thank you. My name is Seidu Mubarak, the president of the National Seed Trade Association of Ghana, NaSTAG, and the deputy managing director for Antika Convening Limited, based in the Airport region. We have done a presentation and wanting to present, but I may be speaking more from my script with a few points that I've jotted down. But the slides will be going on. We said we want the hard truths. Unfortunately, the representative of the minister is not here to hear the hard truths. They are here. The Feed Ghana coordinator who represented the minister should have been here to hear. We have less than 2 months into the main planting season. As we speak, there is no clue about what is going to happen under the Feed Ghana in terms of seed, in terms of procurement, in terms of the plans the ministry has. The Feed Ghana coordinator mentioned the quantities that we need under the Feed Ghana for the next 4 years. Unfortunately, in this year, the strategic plan, in terms of procurements, in terms of what they'll be needing for implementation of the project, we haven't heard anything. The private sector have been at the ministry a couple of times, even seeking audience to see how we can support. In terms of investments, unfortunately, it is not forthcoming. And we have less than 2 months into the season. And so, if we really want to move forward, and we all agree that agriculture is the backbone of the economy and is the backbone, for the 24-hour economy, then we should be taking the seed and the private sector seriously beyond what we are doing. NaSTAG as an entity is not just a private entity. NaSTAG is made up of more than 57 members, 3 strong research institutions. Fortunately, one of our members is hosting us, Waki. We say a very big thank you to Prof and the team for hosting us. CSIR, Prof Research Institute, CSIR, SARI are all strong members of NaSTAG. And these are the sources that are giving us our EGS in terms of production. We also have 2 development partners at the inception of NaSTAG 10 years ago. And NaSTAG, we are celebrating our 10th anniversary this year, having 3 multinational companies as part of NaSTAG. We also have 3 farmer-based institutions, PFAC. We also have PropLife, which is also an entity for distribution, being part of NaSTAG. And so NaSTAG is a membership, a bigger membership comprising of different people within the seed system in the country. Crop Services Directorate as well as PPRSD, we call them associate members because they have been very supportive when it comes to NaSTAG. Now we're talking about availability, accessibility, and timeliness. And it's the reason I started my presentation by calling out the Feed Ghana coordinator, because these were the 3 anchor issues that he raised within the system. The private sector sees this as very important, and we work tirelessly within these things. Policy will not really align so much with us in terms of investment, in terms of what we bring on the table and what we are ready to deliver. And so we need to, as part of our initiatives and take home, that policy should recognize the private sector that we need that enabling environment in terms of policy making, and not importation of seed, but promotion of the local seed system. And this was one of the strong points the Deputy Director of CSIR raised. If we are not promoting the local seed system, then we don't have a future. If we are not promoting and supporting, creating the enabling environment for the private sector to be able to take the research materials from our local research institutions, unfortunately, we are going to have a crippling system where the private sector, the local research systems, our regulators would all be out of business in the next few years. And so it is something critical that we need to be looking at as a private sector. In terms of investment, the private sector, I know there are a number of seed companies investing over 5 million Ghana cedis annually within their seed systems and their outgrower system. And so if this private sector is willing to invest this much into the system and annually they aren't able to match up because of one, the faking of seeds and political seed actors. We are having the political seed actors that when there's a government program or project, I mean, those are the people that are giving contracts to supply. You are sitting as a seed company with all your investments and good materials. Political seed actors go into the market to buy grains and back, which the regulator cannot even speak up to, because you will pass through the system, no matter what you as a regulator wants to do. And these are the bottlenecks that are affecting the private seed system and delivery of quality seeds in the system. And so government, we need to look at this critically and importantly. In terms of capacity, my good friend mentioned that there's no seed company producing 1,000 metric tons. I disagree strongly. Within the NaSTAG seed system, we have over 5 seed companies that are producing way above 1,000 metric tons of seeds in Ghana, and can even do more than 1,000 metric tons if the system supports what the investments they are putting in. We have over 10 seed companies that are producing way above 200 metric tons, as capacities. These people need the system, to function. It needs the system to back them and create the enabling environment such that I know if I invest 10 million cedis, the outgrowers I'm working with, the 200 outgrowers, the 300 outgrowers I'm working with, all of them are reliably going to sell their seed through the system. Then more investments will be put into the system for us to have a better seed system. We also have few issues with regards to research and development, and that is the basis of the private sector. Between 2017 and 2022, during the planting for food and jobs, it's rather unfortunate we relied strongly on importation, and we kept on saying that the local seed systems are not functioning, the local seed in terms of OPV and hybrids are not giving us the yields. But unfortunately, we never invested a peso into research and development. And if we don't invest in research and development to come out with the varieties that can give us the 10 tons, the 8 tons, the drought tolerant, the fall armyworm resistant varieties, then we are not able to match up. And so we use that as an excuse to continue to import. And so research and development needs to be given the critical attention for them to come out with the varieties that we, the private sector, are seeking to also promote. Because it is only through a public-private partnership that we can get these varieties to the smallholder farmers. Almost all seed companies are not just producing. They are marketing their seeds as well. They are having to develop distribution channels across in the various areas that they are operating in. And so this is a model that is already working and needs support and partnership to be able to deliver to the smallholder farmers. So I spoke about the policy disconnect. We cannot pretend. Government is the largest spender. Government programs and projects is the largest spender. The coordinator quoted about 34% of uptake of seeds by planting for food and jobs. In fact, I want to say it's even more. It could go as much as 60-70% because government has that muscle and government programs cuts across the entire country. And so if this 60% of government seed demand is given to the private sector within the National Seed Trade Association and its membership, we can imagine the ripple effects in terms of investments, in terms of job creation, in terms of the revolution it will come along with under the 24-hour economy. In fact, let's even say we are having our political seat systems and giving 50% of the seat demand to this mainstream system. It's going to change a lot. And so it's something that we need to look at critically. Within the private sector, the regulator mentioned about the seat traceability system. It is something that the private sector had also piloted. We have some of the few samples of the seat traceability systems outside that we can try our hands on through a project, as you mentioned, AGRA supported it strongly. And it's something that we are also supporting fully for the regulator to implement, because the faking and adulteration of seats is one of the key things that is killing the system. And through this traceability, if well implemented with the private sector, is going to save and guard all of us within the system. And it's something that we are also supporting fully for the regulator to implement, because the faking and adulteration of seats is one of the key things that is killing the system. And through this traceability, if well implemented with the private sector, is going to save and guard all of us within the system. And so we need to look at it critically as well. Speaking about all this, and we are only just to say that it is only a reliable seed system that can power the agriculture sector, and the agriculture sector would be the engine of growth, would be the supporting system for the 24-hour economy. And we as a private sector stands ready any day, any time to continue to invest. But we will not continue to invest if we are not getting the returns on our investments. And if that happens, the unemployment rates we are crying on would increase. If that happens, food insecurity would happen. If we are not getting our returns, it means a whole lot of issues. The economy itself would crash. And so we are urging on policymakers to create the enabling environment. Let us all come on board and see the continuous investments we would have. Just to conclude on it, we're having so much of gluts, and 2026 cropping season is not looking too good. And we have to bring this on the limelight that we are sitting on a time bomb. 2027, 2028, we might be having more crisis because farmers are not ready to go back to the farms. Farmers' warehouses are stuck with produce. The fields, they are lying down. There's no market. And this is the only source of income for smallholder farmers, commercial farmers, private sector seed people. And if I'm not able to sell, it becomes a very critical and difficult situation for me to say I'm going back into the farms. And so government policies should be aligning to have us. We do not really understand why we imported rice when we have a lot of rice up north in the Volta region. We do not understand why the government will still continue to import maize into the system when maize is as low as 100 cedis and the farmer cannot break even. And in fact, there is not even market for it. We do not understand why the poultry farmers will be crying that their eggs and the poultry is not getting market when frozen chicken is coming in, day out, to the tune of $2.something billion annually being imported. And so something is not right with the system. And policy, it is the thing. Policy is the oil that will, change the engine of growth. And if you want the hard truths, policymakers need to look at the nation and need to put the nation at heart. And let us all come together and develop the nation. Thank you so much.